spiritual guidance for this week of January 2nd through the 8th of 2023. This is where we go just like a little coffee talk, a little deeper into discussion about what this week brings and life guidance in general. So it's a very powerful conversation that I would love for all of you to join me right now as we get started, picking up where I left off in our weekly spiritual guidance. Alright, so I did say that, this week that is a week definitely to get focused on what we want to manifest this year, right? And it's important that we energetically start getting there. So don't procrastinate on these goals, intentions that you've set for yourself, or any promises that you've made to yourself as well. Don't procrastinate because it's going to get harder down the road, right? So we want to get started right away and make it easy on ourselves. I did also, channel this in my health and wellness page. This is a week of releasing the old ways, and these old ways are old ways of thinking, old ways of doing things, old ways of living, right? Like lifestyle-based habits. And it's a week of releasing that, including the old self that was associated with that way, and then embracing the new way. And this new way is divinely guided. It is intuitively also directed by God. And this is the new way that's going to take us farther than the way that we were trying to go about with the old way as a new self. So everybody has a challenge of some sort right now, right? Everybody's going through something, whether it's personal, familial, relational, career-wise. And it's important to not focus on so much the negative aspect of it or the possible negatives. It's important to focus and stay hyperly focused on the positive so that we can be able to manifest a positive outcome, right? And this is almost like, I know, kind of like law of attraction vibe right now, but it's just more than that as well. It's also hermetic principles. It's the principle of vibration, that we attract our vibration. So if you want to attract miracles, which miracles are only high vibrationally based, you have to be vibrating high. And all the spiritual work that I do with soul coaching, with my health and wellness brand, the deep underlying purpose behind all this is to raise your vibration so that your vibration can be up here, and then your new life that you are manifesting and creating for yourself, your reality, is all up here. You're not manifesting lower vibrational situations, people, relationships. And what is lower vibrational? I feel like we need to kind of maybe clarify this for people maybe who are newcomers, or maybe people who are still struggling to decipher what's low vibrational and what's high vibrational, right? Anything low vibrational is abusive, is the first word I heard, is advantage seeking, so taking advantage of you, is neglect of some sort. It's obviously, anything that's cruel, anything that's just making you feel low self-worth, making you feel doubtful of yourself. Anything toxic is basically low vibrational. And a lot of the times, for people who are already in situations, as a counselor, I've seen this for many years. It's so difficult for these people to see it because they're in the situation. So they're blinded by what's really happening dynamically, right? And that's where like a third person, an outside observer, can see clearly, especially if they're experienced with this therapist eye, right? Like myself. And, it's sad because sometimes, these people become so emotionally involved that they actually don't believe the people around them, and they start to protect what's being harmful to them, right? And this protection is what creates this vicious cycle of abuse, right? Like, for example, and it's not only physical abuse, but it can also be emotional abuse, mental abuse, spiritual abuse, right? If like people are taking spiritually advantage of you, if like, you're not maybe at that level, and like, this happens a lot, trust me. So, and it's also any gender. It doesn't have to be from like man to woman or woman to man, because it can also happen woman to man, right? So, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is because the only way that we can get rid of anything low vibrational is to first recognize it, right? This is like abuse 101 when I was in therapy school, is recognizing those red flags, recognizing anything that feels off, never doubting your intuition in sensitive situations like your life, right? Especially if like this is something life-based, like a life-changing situation, like a transition of any sort, right? Like, you know, I want to say like any life transition is important, like from when you're a child to when you become a teenager, to when you become a young adult, to when you become an adult, to when you start to get your first job, when you graduate your career and you start to be your own boss, when you get married, when you have children, when you become a grandparent. All of these are major life transitions, right, that we learn in psychology school. And it's so important between these transitions because this is where a lot of people get stuck and then also fall down spiritually and energetically, is between these transitions, and they don't know how to cope. And remember, also other transitions can be spontaneous situations that happen, like anything of like a loss in a family, or sickness in a family, or divorce in a family, or moving country or home in a family, changing schools for children. Anything of this are like spontaneous life changes, right? And so a lot of the times these transitions have the power to bring people together even stronger than if these transitions didn't happen. But for others, it has a way of also tearing them apart and breaking families. So we want to make sure that we're using these challenges to our advantage and knowing how to harness the real purpose behind them. Because God doesn't throw challenges without a reason, right? Everything always happens for a reason, is what God always says, right? So how can we harness these opportunities and see these challenges as a golden opportunity to bring us together even more? And that's going to be powerful this week and for life in general whenever you're listening to this video, because that's what this year is about. It's about bringing people together, new relationships together, even stronger than ever before, because we're going to need these strong bonds to be able to fall back on when we need this emotional support. And we're going to need people that we trust wholeheartedly, that we know are 100% loyal to us, in front of us and behind our back, right? And that's something that I definitely is like my number one quality that I look for in people that I'm about to receive in my life, in my circle, in my sacred space, because life is going to bring us, you know, maybe like I heard turns, and like, you know, I just actually dropped my earring. But we're going to really need to be in spiritual alignment and hear clearly the guidance. And the only way that we can hear and channel clearly is, of course, always through spiritual alignment. That's where your spiritual practices come in, your prayers of the day. You don't have to do a whole hour meditation like me, right? And to be honest, you know, I don't have time to meditate lately every day anymore, but I definitely make sure to meditate at least 3 to 4 times a day, the full hour that I usually meditate, right? And I always do like my little morning yoga stretch to kind of get my physical body in alignment and open, right? And so, but I always say a prayer, because of course I'm always doing spiritual work 24/7 as I'm always channeling. And it's always important to make sure that we are asking God to keep us in the light. And I feel like, you know, that's a very powerful new habit to bring into this year, starting this week. Now, I do want to open up and bring in more oracle cards for this week, get deeper. And you know, also, before I get to that, I did touch upon this in the weekend, spiritual guidance, but it's the theme of crowd. This weekend, this theme came up a lot for me. The word crowd, right? The crowd that you maybe resonate with, the crowd that you are around. Is that your crowd or not? And how can we energetically start to manifest our crowd? Because if you've been like maybe like alone this past year, or maybe the past couple years, maybe, you know, your life has kind of like gone a separate way, and the groups that you used to spend your time around, maybe they've dissolved, maybe they've gone their own way. I feel like a lot of groups it's not like one person left. I feel like it was like the whole group that dissolved for a lot of us before 2020. And now it's like these little individuals on their own. Some people went one way, some people went another way, and another people went another way. And now it's like all these little people that are alone, you want to say the loners, are now looking for a new crowd to be with, because we're going to need people this year. And this year, this crowd is going to show up, because I feel like maybe we've gotten glimpses of who this possible crowd can be, but we've still had to do a lot of individual healing. And I feel like the healing's been done this whole year of 2022, because we've been focusing a lot on our spiritual gifts, mastering our talents, our abilities, and even going further. And now we're ready to come together with whatever crowd God is blessing us with this year. And maybe we're going to be a part of several crowds, and that's okay too, right? Wherever God wants to take you is where you need to go. I feel like this missionary energy this year, right? It's like we're being called to just go around, be with different people. And I'm seeing like maybe 2 to 3 crowds, and that's okay, right? But it's important that you at least have, even if it's like just a close knit, like 2 to 3 people, like best friends, maybe it could be family members that are always with you, that you can talk about everything, right? Because you're not going to want to be 100% alone this year anymore. Because I feel like this year, because we're going to be more social, that's where it's more important to have a solid people behind you, right? And you know, maybe that's my personality, but I'm the kind of person that when in my life in general, you know, I've had phases when I've been more social than others. And those times when I've been more social than others is actually when spiritually and energetically you can be more vulnerable. And those are the times when it's more important than ever to have those people that knew you from the beginning that are going to keep you in check, right? And are going to keep you in yourself, in your true self, and not fall to like any energies around you, right? Especially if you're empathic like me and very vulnerable. And you know, that's why a lot of us empaths like myself have these periods in our life where we are in solitude completely, like hermit mode, because like we are recalibrating our inner soul, our self, and we're just kind of like getting back in tune with our real self, right? And just letting go of anything that maybe we might have like catched personality wise or energetically, and coming back to self, our true self, right? And I feel like we've done a lot of and enough of that this year. And even like the past 3 years, so like this whole 3-year cycle coming to a close, like when I touched up on this New Year's Eve event, and we're starting this New Year's Eve and this new 3-year cycle now ready to come back out into the world. So it's a very powerful week, because we're starting to kind of like also get maybe guidance and making maybe plans for the year. This would be a great week to do that, actually. Look ahead into the year. Book vacations, book special events, get those flights in if you're going to travel this year, and just plan out what you want to do as well, like month by month. I love to do that the first week as well, because that way, you know, although we do leave room for spontaneous events and experiences, we also want to have some things planned out and just not leave everything last minute, because that's when it's harder then to kind of get it in, right? So just keep that in mind. All right, let's get straight into this and get a little bit more extra guidance. Our daily affirmations. This is also a great week to start networking and maybe start, you know, getting in touch with people maybe that you want to kind of get back in touch with, or you want to maybe meet up with, and start to give a heads up. So that way, you know, you make plans, you make room in your calendar, in your agenda if you're a busy person. I know that I'm very busy this year, so it's like, but a good busy, because it's all mission based, and I'm going to be focusing a lot also like on my free time, on my family, on my personal goals. So anything that's like business wise, networking, it's like those little holes that we're filling in our calendar that are also going to be very important. Okay, today, I am willing, therefore I am able. I can do all things through spiritual strength. So yes, we can do all things. God is calling us in like different directions. I'm already seeing like a little map that you create on the, like when you're doing like planning, a little bubble map. So let me say this clearly. When you're doing like a little map and you're trying to plan out all these little things that you need to do. I did explain this in the New Year's Eve event, so of how to plan and organize your life and your goals. But I feel like this is going to be definitely all these directions that we're being pulled towards, and we need to know that we can get it all done, because there's always a time to do a specific thing. It's not like we're being called to do everything at the same time, so no need to worry or stress yourselves out. Definitely don't stress this year. And I choose to honor my body's needs and take very good care of it through holistic nutrition, uninterrupted restful sleep, and daily movement. Health and wellness is a part of me. How can we also bring our health and wellness to a new alignment and a more stronger routine? And I am attracting my dream future. Definitely, we're still working on this year. Let us get an angel message for this week. And right away, the Archangel Jophiel, please help me to find the most perfect wardrobe, hairstyle, and makeup for this occasion. Thank you. So definitely, I have a lot of things to show up for this week, so maybe that's for me. Okay, but we did get another message from Archangel Jophiel, so she's really present with us today and this week. Archangel of Beauty, thank you for helping me to see my own beauty and uniqueness. Definitely never compare yourself to another person, anybody on the spiritual journey as well. And this is like, you know, this whole year, past year of 2022 has been a year of self-love. I feel for a lot of divine feminines, and we've been really learning to love ourselves and see our own unique beauty that is irreplaceable and what's that other word? Like unrepeatable by someone else, right? So thank you for raising my self-esteem and confidence as a woman, and thank you for helping me to also guide other women to love themselves as you see them. Love your divine child. And I also will be doing a lot of women's content this year at the Spiritual Counseling TV network, which is my favorite, and I'm so excited. I have so many great things I'm already looking forward to, and little projects here and there as well. Our spiritual guidance for this week. Luck is on your side. You have the Midas touch of abundance, of gold. We have like that golden touch. There's a lot of gold energy, and just be you. Be your own unique self. Be your own beauty. And I feel like that is the conclusion of today's extended weekly spiritual guidance. We touched up on a lot of different factors that are going to come up this week and themes, and I think that this is all going to really help us to evolve on our soul journey. Thank you all for watching and for being here with me and supporting me along my journey as well. And I'll see you all for the next week's Daily Morning Spiritual Guidance series. Namaste.